course, while we're waiting, I'd love to play a little talk show host right now, and kind of ask you folks sort of what you find. Oh, so many questions. I think whoever that is, you will definitely have to follow up with them over email if we can't get those all answered today. But one thing I've been wondering is did you like need money for your initiative? Was that funding ever something that you were worried about? Is that something you ever looked at, or how did you make sure that your project was really like sustainable?
So yeah, no, great question. So we have put no money down on this project. What's really great about stay-at-home orders is that you have all the time in the world to build an initiative, and because we're working from our houses and online, there isn't really any money at this time. Like, we're not fielding any costs because all we have is our computers. But who knows where it goes in the future, especially as we turn into a non-for-profit. But at this time, we're completely cost-free.
Yeah, and like I said, if in the future we decide to change, as we said in the PowerPoint presentation, start small and simple. We were only doing virtual letters because that's what was feasible at the time. But if we do transition to physical sending letters as well, that might change because, there's costs of postage. So that really depends. But as of now, we've been very fortunate not to have any real costs at all. So.
Okay, that's great. As questions come in, I know there's someone in the chat who's mentioned they would like to ask questions. Just the one, will these slides be posted somewhere? Yes, I will send them over an email. So for Shar, I think, yes, so sorry, I think there was someone in the chat who wanted to ask a question on audio. So if Shar, you want to ask on audio, you can. Your question will just be recorded. Your voice will just be recorded. So you can ask now by unmuting yourself. Waiting for you.
Hey guys.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Is this for the two ladies who started their
go ahead.
What do you do if that question on the screen is mine? Like, what do I do if some credentials are necessary to start your idea, your project?
Okay, so sorry, Shar, it's right. That's your name?
Yeah, I'm Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Because sometimes I go by Shar too. But anyway, that's funny. What kind of credentials did you have in mind? Like, do you mean a degree or previous work experience? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. I think I would need to be a nutritionist or have some degree in science or something like that.
So the best thing I think to start with is find a project that may be similar to what you have in mind and start by gaining experience in that way. And also, if you feel like a nutritionist would be beneficial, see if there's one in your community that you can shadow or who would be willing to volunteer, because there's so many researchers or future nutritionists or current ones that I'm sure would be able to reach out to you. So it might just be a little bit of legwork just to get a team together that would really work for your project.
Okay. Could I do something along the lines of like prepping my project and idea and the files and all the details like that, and then having it approved by someone who knows more than me? Or like, how would you go about doing that?
For sure. You could always have somebody like endorse your project. So again, if you write up a official document and your kind of plan of action, if you do get in touch with a professional and request that they can endorse it, that's a great way of gaining legitimacy.
And I feel it definitely depends on the project. But yeah, if you can consult with a nutritionist or somebody with more knowledge, and if they're able to say that your project can be sustainable with the knowledge that you have, like if you're able to continue to navigate it, then I think, that would be a great option to reach out.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for asking that. And if you have a specific idea, you can always reach out to us as well, and we'll see if there's any partner organizations within our network that we might be able to connect you with. But definitely, we really believe that great initiatives are born by collaborating with other people. And like both you and Shara, you've done a great job by collaborating with long-term care homes. So I just wanted to quickly ask, sort of, was it challenging to get connected to long-term care homes, like logistically, because they would have been so busy during the pandemic managing kind of outbreaks? So how was that dynamic? Like, how did you figure out who was the right person to contact and make sure that logistically your initiative was meeting like sort of public health guidelines?
So I guess I can start off by answering that. I guess this kind of goes back, that's a great question, Vera. It goes back to the Venn diagram kind of that we talked about in step one. So with my capabilities, I knew that I had connections to long-term care homes in my hometown because I had worked there as a dietary aide. I'd also volunteered there in high school and elementary school as well. So I did have some connections within the community, and that is a very good point that the recreational directors and the staff at the home were definitely busy during that time. But just, giving a simple phone call, just asking to be connected with a staff member or manager, and just putting in that time to just talk with them for a little bit. And I guess that it also comes into play, like the feasibility of your initiative. So ours was very streamlined and easy to get involved with, and very low time commitment from the staff. So I think that also helped with having them come on board. And I guess reaching out and expanding. We also emailed homes as well as phoning them, just some that there was also a few homes in Hamilton that we had connections with through our church. So just reaching out that way as well.
And Charmaine has been very diligent. She is modest. She's really just been on top of staying in contact and building relationships with these homes throughout the project, but also just making sure that she stays on top of it, just like constantly calling them to check in to make sure letters are being passed out, and just really making each person in the home like her accountability partner to make sure that this project is being successful.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Eliza.
I love that. So I think we'll take one last question, which is on your screen. Is do you need to be a registered nonprofit? And I think there's another idea that came in. I'm also mindful of the time because we have another presentation. So if you can briefly answer these first two questions, that would be lovely. So this one is around registering as a nonprofit. I know you're not registered as a nonprofit, so I think you're really equipped to answer this.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't have to be registered. Just start your initiative and just run with it. We are in the process of looking at options of either we want to register as a charitable organization or for a nonprofit. So like good things come with the hard work. So that's definitely a long-term goal for us, but you do not have to be a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then also just going off that question on the screen there too, just talking about vulnerable sectors. If you're wanting to get involved in person, you may need a police check or something of that nature, because I ran into that issue in high school as well. But if it's virtual and you are not communicating directly with the seniors, or, well, that's a very specific, well, in our case with the seniors, then you don't really need a vulnerable sector check or anything like that.
It depends what your project is, because for us, we're dealing directly with the home. So we're not in contact specifically with the elderly, so
Exactly.
Their privacy is 100% maintained.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. And I really recommend, if you are working with vulnerable people, to make sure you're like you're working with a partner. In their case, they work with a long-term care home. If you're working with the youth, it's always good if you can partner with another organization who has that kind of like experience with risk management. So you're not kind of going off on the fly. Yeah, and legitimacy is established through your action. So as long as you're really like good at promoting what you're doing, and doing it and keeping those things in mind, people will see that you are legitimate with time and as you build partnerships. So I think the last question here is around rejections from the connections you reached out to, and if you had to deal with that.
No, actually, in fact, it was the opposite. we've had tons, and when I say tons, we've had tons of people actually approach us wanting to get involved and find out how they can help. So like we said, don't be afraid to ask, because yeah, you might get 1 or 2 rejections, but more often than not, people want to help you succeed and they want to find out how they can be involved with that. So, and how did we deal with those no's? We just moved on to the next thing and took it as like, there are bigger and better things out there for us.
And you know what's fabulous too is that, like Eliza said, those couple no's, in our case, it was because there was already an existing initiative kind of in place that was either, you know, put on by a local school or something like that. So that's fabulous because it shows that the community was very receptive to volunteers looking to help out. So it just shows that the need exists, because everyone else has said yes so far that we've been able to come into contact with.
Yeah. And you can always ask for feedback if someone gives you rejection, so you can improve for the next time.
Yeah, we often send out surveys and polls to our homes to find out how we can improve.
Great. Thank you so much, both of you.